I feel like, and as the top Democrat in the American government, as the person with the key role that you have leading the House of Representatives, I feel like there's great frustration over the patchwork and sometimes backwards and slow response that we have had as a country. Do you have faith that there are things that Congress can do, that you and your colleagues can do with the control that you have over those levers of power, to try to shore up our national response and to try to alleviate some of the worst mistakes that have been made?
Well, I'm very proud of the work that we've done in a bipartisan way, actually, in the Congress. March 4th, we passed our first bill, which was about testing, and research for a cure and a vaccine and so many other things. The 14th, we passed another bill addressing the needs for masks and all of that. The 28th of March, the president signed the CARES Act, which is nearly over $2 trillion bill to meet the needs of the American people. A bill I'm very proud to say that Democrats turned on its head from corporate America, trickle down to workers up, bubble up for the workers. So there is in place so much of what that we have done, but we need more. And again, we're right now trying to implement the CARE Act in terms of the unemployment insurance, in terms of the help for small businesses, in terms of direct payments, issues that relate to state and local government, issues that relate to hospitals and other health-serving institutions to meet their needs. So we've done a great deal, and we just have to get that out. But as it goes out, we know already that the acceleration of the pace of this virus and this assault, not only on the lives, but the livelihood of American people, that we must do more. So we're preparing for CARES 2 already.
And in terms of that preparation and trying to match the scale of the congressional response to the size of the problem, it's been reported that the former Fed chair, Janet Yellen, briefed Democrats within the last few days saying that the real unemployment rate right now is probably about 13% already, rather than the official 4.4%. We've also heard it reported that the next CARES Act, that the next relief bill will be on the order about maybe of another $1 trillion. When you think about that economic threat and that economic response, do those numbers seem like they match to you, that that's the right size approach to that big a problem?
Well, we have to take it as it comes. I mean, in other words, when I talk about numbers, people say, well, let's see what we need. And that's what we're taking inventory of. But what the country needs is really, we need to find a cure. We need to get rid of this virus. What we need is a central command for the President of the United States to say somebody is in charge of just seeing what we need, what's in the chain of the supply chain, what isn't, getting it to the places, the hot spots where it's needed, moving it on after that. We don't have that. What we need is really testing to evaluate the scope of the problem so that we can truly have a measure of our success. And what we need is, again, just the respect that we should have for our workers, so that as they save lives, they're not risking theirs and that of their families. They need the PPE, the personal protective equipment, to protect themselves, not just the healthcare workers, but first responders and others, and as well as the ventilators to get to people. What the American people want is to see those workers get what they need. What they want to see is them getting their own checks. Let's get it in the mail, whether it's unemployment or direct payment, et cetera. And what they don't want to see are industries in our country receiving taxpayer dollars and ripping them off with buyouts and bonuses and dividends, et cetera. So that's why in this bill we put the conditions in there so that didn't happen, that we put the resources in there for small business, for unemployment, for direct payments, and now we need more.
What you were describing in terms of the supply chains and needing somebody in charge of making sure that the right equipment and the right supplies get to where they are needed. Your colleague in the Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, it's been reported he spoke with the White House, the brand new White House chief of staff. There's been a number of them, but there's a brand new one. Senator Schumer spoke with him, asking the president to appoint essentially a czar to oversee what you were just describing, the production and distribution, allocation, reallocation of these critical supplies. He reportedly gave him a list of names. I wonder if you are also in support of that kind of approach, if you and Senator Schumer are working together on that, if you've had any word that the administration might sort of get their act together in that regard.
It's so self-evident. In our caucus, Steny Hoyer, our distinguished leader, has been calling for this for a long time. But we all know you have to have somebody in charge to manage it. It just doesn't happen to be that it goes politically where somebody might want it to go. It goes where it is needed. But you can't go anyplace unless you have something. So there has to be an inventory of what the supply chain is. And what we also need in our country is domestic development of the therapies so that we're not dependent on foreign companies and if countries. And Congresswoman Anna Eshoo has a bill to that effect, a commission to establish what and why about this. We are so dependent. And so when other countries say, well, I have this and I have that, and I'm not shipping it out because I have my own problem, we're at the mercy.